Hi everyone, welcome. If you are new here, how's it going? If you are returning, what's going on, y'all? Okay, so we're gonna do a quick general reading for today. I hope everyone is doing good. We're gonna be using our Golden Art Nouveau deck by Julia Massaglia, and we're just gonna see what this general reading has to say to us, okay? What is happening here? I'm running low on storage. Thank you, laptop. I appreciate heads up. So we're going to see what the general reading has to say for us, okay? And let's just see what the message is, okay? Again, I hope you are doing well. If you are not doing well, then I hope that you feel better at the end of this reading, okay? So we are going to do a quick sound cleansing, and then we will get into it, okay? All right. We're going to call on our ancestors closest to the sun, our spirit guides, our angels, whoever it is that helps us to feel divinely protected, okay? Any negativity, evil eye, monitoring spirits, or anything that means harm is not welcome here. You don't gotta go home, but you can't stay here. If there is negativity that is sent our way, it is going to be transmuted into peace, power, love, prosperity, and all of the good things. And then, with that being said, let's get into our reading. Okay. So, what do we got here? What should we know for today? Let's see. Okay. Ace of Swords, everybody. Ace of Swords. Okay. So we're going to read the energy and the symbolism within the card. So based off of the energy of this feels like a new idea. Okay. So this new idea feels a little bit more analytical. It feels a little bit more intellectual, almost kind of like a manual of sorts. So this could also be like reframing an existing manual. Okay. So with the energy involving that, this could also be like not like a literal manual, like it could be, but like most times it's not like literal, okay? So we're almost kind of like rewriting or making a new series of our own internal manual, okay? And let me walk you through like what that feels like, okay? So this feels like you have an idea of who you were up until this point in terms of like your mindset, your thinking patterns, and anything that has to do with our decision making. Okay. So this is basically whoever this is for. Okay. You're basically establishing almost kind of like a guideline for yourself. It's going to be like a new guideline for how you navigate certain situations. So this is like a new guideline, okay? But this is uniquely yours. So the reason why this energy feels very exciting and interesting is because you're essentially saying like, okay, like I'm taking from what I believed to be my values, my mindset, right up until this point, and we're just taking what resonates and then we're just shoving aside what no longer serves us. Okay? So this feels very intentional. This feels like a shadow work moment, okay? So this could be messages that you got from early childhood, right? And that maybe stemmed into like internalizing, all right? And the reason why this is cool is because something could have happened, or you might have had like what we call like a aha moment, right? Where you're basically coming to a point where like, okay, like that's not really serving me, right? This could be something that you carried with you as like a child from like parents, grandparents, teachers, old friends, relationships, you name it, right? So what I find interesting, because if you look at the sword here, right? The saying that like pops into my mind is the pen is mightier than the sword. And the irony here is that you're utilizing both of them. Okay. So the sword in this context is actually your pen, right? So there's like a particular lyric from Eminem where he's basically essentially talking about like why I like God, hey, I'm trying to think of the line. Something along the lines of like why people wonder why I treat the mic like a gat, right? I think that was from Bad one of his like newer songs from like a recent album. Wondering why I treat the mic like a gat, right? So essentially what we're saying is like our words are powerful. The intellectual process to put words onto paper and then externalize them is a form of like a weapon, right? So the irony that I got the pen is mightier than the sword is that the pen is the sword, right? So the interesting part about this is whoever this is for, you're essentially rewriting your internal mechanisms and like your manual. All right. I find that very interesting. And then also here, right, like you have the foliage, like the greenery here, right? Which is essentially saying that your crown chakra, right? Like the crown chakra here is being rewarded, or there's like an addition of a grounding property there, right? So this is like very intentional. So like you know that this idea is coming to fruition, right? You are very intentional with this. You're like, yeah, no, I'm going to take this opportunity to rewrite my internal guideline, right? That's very interesting. Okay. Let's get a clarifier card. Okay. Let's see what we got. Very interesting. That definitely could be for like some air signs. You might have like a Libra, Gemini, Aquarius in your sun, moon, or rising. Maybe even your, oh, throwing cards. Oh, what is it? Four swords. Four swords. Okay, so this could be your idea, but you're also at peace. You're also at peace. Okay. So it's almost kind of like I'm gonna get another clarifier. This one flew out. I'm gonna take this one, but I'm gonna leave it off to the side for now. Let's see. Could we also be asking you to rest, right? Like you have your new guideline idea, right? This new idea. Maybe that's not being implemented quite yet, right? Because we have the Four Swords, which is like the rest and recovery card, like the intentional, like slowing yourself down. So that could look like a few things, but we're gonna leave it off to the side for now. Okay. All right. Let's get another clarifier. Okay, so we got the Ace of Swords. Could be an air sign, maybe like a Mercury as well. Like you might have an air sign in your Mercury. Let's see. Interesting. Interesting. Five of Wands in reverse. Five of Wands in reverse. Okay, so whoever this reading is for, okay, something that comes up when it's involving the Five of Wands in the reverse. So like in the upright position, this can deal with like conflict, competition. This can involve some type of again, like competitiveness, right? But the energy that I got from this is that like you're not about to like compete with anyone or anything, right? Which I think has to do with like this newfound guideline and idea of how you want to navigate yourself, right? So in the reverse position, right? So like this has to do with like you stepping into who you know you are, right? And this could be someone who's like in a what do you call it? Almost kind of like a recovery period or like a healing period, right? So this makes me feel like this person initially had to like put up with a lot of like boundary violations. Like this could have been like somebody who like was involved in a lot of drama, like maybe intentionally or unintentionally, right? So this is someone who's basically saying like, yeah, nah, I don't really want to subscribe to any of that. Like I'm not competing with anyone. And also like I'm not about to like fight with anyone either. Like my energy is precious, right? Which could make sense, right? Because we also had this fly out, which means like you are very much trying to preserve your energy, and anything that is not contributing in a positive way or is contributing to your healing process, right? You're like, yeah, nah, like miss me with all that. And I find it interesting because if you look at the symbolism here, right, you're essentially like this feels almost like detachment as well. So you're turning people's worlds upside down, right? So this also could have been like someone who was very passionate, like almost kind of makes me feel like someone who was like easily triggered or someone who was very sensitive, which again is not a bad thing. I think like you're sustaining that emotional capability, but you're in a place where you're being intentionally detached, right? So when I say like you're flipping people's worlds upside down, right? Like this is basically like where people remember or know a certain version of you, and you have kind of just like you rewrote the guideline, you rewrote the internal guideline, right? So people don't know how to approach you. They don't know how to approach you anymore. They're just like, oh, okay, like the collective is like they're not reacting, they're not putting up a fight, like they're not giving me any reaction. I don't know how to take this, right? And I feel like that's intentional. I feel like that's intentional, and that's a part of this newfound opportunity, right? Where you're not about to let anyone get you out of character or derail you. I think you're basically like in a point of your life where you're like, oh, like what did they say about me? Yeah, no, they're right. Yeah, no, you got that. I'm not correcting none of y'all, right? And I find that pretty telling, especially if you got the Ace of Swords here, right? Because like you're saying, like I know the idea of me that I'm perpetuating, and I can't control that externalization, right? And it goes back to this Four of Swords, right? I think it's very intentional because you have a specific mindset that you're trying to portray, or like you're in a decision making process that doesn't make sense to a lot of people, and you're preserving your energy. You're basically saying like, yeah, not I'm not about to expend energy where I don't have any, right? So that makes sense. Let's get one more clarifying card, and then we will do bottom of the deck energy. Okay, so whatever is hidden to us, or kind of like the shadow card, or what is driving this reading from a subconscious standpoint. Okay, so let's see what we get. You can't make this shit up, guys. Queen of Swords. You are in that. I don't give a F. Miss me with that. Don't talk to me about your feelings. I gotta be like pragmatic, objective. And if you take that as cold, That's a not me problem. That's crazy, guys. Oh my goodness. Oh my. The energy in this card, guys. You had a switch up. I don't know what happened here. I don't know what. Hold up. Someone got you to a point where you're like, nope, nope. You are protecting your energy like it's your birthright right now. This person, all right, like this has a lot of like the that pragmatic objective energy. I would say that this person, a air of caution is to maintain your boundaries, but being mindful of where you're directing that. Okay. Because it makes sense that you want to protect your energy, protect your mental and your emotional boundaries, but I would just be mindful to not be reckless in where you're directing the sword, right? So there's going to be instances where like you want to protect your boundaries, but be mindful of who is curious about the process and who's trying to step the line, right? Because like the energy here, like this is like someone who is in like a no nonsense, like you're not gonna like get me out of my peace, right? This is someone who's very much protecting their peace. And something also that comes up in terms of the energy, this is someone who felt trapped for a while. Like they felt trapped for a while. So this could have been like somebody who I don't know why, but like when I'm looking at the patterning here in the robe, what came to mind was almost like a Rapunzel-esque energy. Okay. And the reason why I'm saying that is because like the clouds on the shawl or like the cape, right? It appears almost kind of like a tower, actually, right? So this might have been someone who felt mentally trapped or they felt like they were like locked away mentally, right? Like almost kind of like someone put them in like a mental or like spiritual like ward, right? And this person is like not doing that again. Not doing that again. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I'm looking at the birds overhead, right? And there's two of them. So that's why I feel like, oh, actually, no, there's one, two, three, four. There's four of them, but there's like two of them that are at the forefront, right? So this could have been like, let me see, one, two, three. No, there's actually five, actually. Hold up. Yeah, okay, okay, okay. So there's two more so in the forefront. So like when I'm looking at that, like the energy that I'm getting from these two is that this could have been like a work dynamic. This could have been like a relationship dynamic. You felt trapped mentally, and you're not going back to that headspace, right? Again, like you're rewriting the internal guideline, right? And then I find it interesting because since there's five birds, like that, the five number is the number of transformation, right? Transformation, potential conflict. And then also something that I find interesting is in the card, they're black birds, which means like protection, right? So when I think of protection, I think like you were trying to protect your headspace and your boundaries and the situation, whatever it was, right? Again, could have been like work, could have been relationships, could have been friendships, like your own self-doubts, like whatever it was that was imposing this like mental prison or like this mental ward, right? You were protected, but a lesson needed to be learned there, right? And I find it interesting because when I'm looking at the imagery here, the birds were almost trying to kind of like guide you in a way in terms of decision making, right? So this could have been someone who might have struggled with what's called like learned helplessness, right? Like where you're like, oh, I don't have any options, like, like what's the point? Like there's no reason to fight, right? But this energy now in the present is essentially saying, like, never going back there again. I know what I'm capable of. I know my mental worth, my emotional worth, my overall sense of self, and I'm not doing it again, right? Like, you got your sword up. This is like someone who's protecting their boundaries. And again, word of caution, just being mindful of where you're aiming the sword, right? Because this almost makes me feel like someone got out of survival mode, but they're kind of towing the line, right? They're towing the line. This makes me feel like there might still be triggers that could be coming up for this individual, right? Where they're just like, oh, hey, like you said a specific trigger phrase, so like now I got my defenses up, right? I get it. We're human beings. But word of caution, right, is to ask for that clarity and identify if the words and actions are lining up, right? Because with this, it makes me feel like there still could be like unresolved, like memories, feelings, trauma that is getting this person into like a state of defensiveness, right? So this person is like very much like in the I don't like, okay, you're disturbing my peace, cutting you out. Good day, right? And I understand the premise there, right? I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm just saying for this individual, gaining clarity and understanding if your boundaries are firm versus like rigid, right? Because oftentimes, like this could have been someone who, again, like was navigating situations where their boundaries were like historically overstepped. So, like, now they're like, I don't care. Like, if you don't listen to me the first time, you gotta go. If you're like, this is my boundary, and someone crosses it, try to like test the waters, you're like, gotta go, right? I'm not mad at it. I'm just saying, be mindful of where you're aiming the sword, right? Is it disturbed? Is it disturbed? Is it deserved, right? Or is this a survival mechanism that's showing up for us, right? So just be mindful of that. Let's see. We're gonna do bottom of the deck energy. Let's see. What is the subconscious piece that we're not getting from this reading? Okay, so what's the theme here? Let's see. The Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune. Oh my goodness. This person, guys, hold up. Let me show you the symbolism. 2 seconds. This person is taking their fate in their own hands. Like they're taking their own fate into their hands. So with this being the shadow card, right? Like this person is very much like unlearning victim mentalities. They're unlearning the learned helplessness, and they're like ensuring that like when it comes up for them, they're recognizing it, they're processing it, and they're just saying like, yeah, nah, everything that's happening is happening for me, not to me. This is all just part of the growth cycle. And it's interesting because this person is just taking the licks. They're taking the licks back and forth. They're like, oh, you're doing what? I've been through worse. I don't care. This is light work. Hit me with your best shot, pretty much. They're just like, oh, you're gonna try to like get to my self-esteem. What's that saying? It's like they're like everything you say to me, like I've said like we're 6 inches from the mirror or something like that, right? So this person is just like, yeah, no, like your words can't hurt me, like um your actions can't hurt me, right? Like okay, fine, cool. That's cool. They're making their own fate here. They're basically just saying like, all right, yeah, no, I'm trusting the universe. Whatever's happening, it's happening for my higher self, right? But they're not doing it in a passive way. They're intellectualizing it, right? Like they're making sure that they go about things in an intellectual way, not an emotional sense, right? And that could be very intentional. So the fact that this is a shadow card, I find that very interesting. And then also this could be for a this could be for an Aquarius, a Scorpio, a Taurus, or a Leo. Okay, so you could have placements in there too. Heavy on the Aquarius energy though. Heavy on the Aquarius energy could also be a Libra, possibly a Gemini. Okay. But definitely heavy on the air signs right now. Heavy, heavy on the air signs. Okay. So let's wrap up a little bit, right? So you are creating a new internal guideline for yourself. All right. You're basically saying, like, all right, that old script, I'm not doing it. It's not serving me. Just don't want to do it anymore, right? So you're writing your own guideline. You're taking what resonates, what makes the most sense to you. You're solidifying who you know you are. Okay. And you're being unapologetic about it. You're like, yeah, nope, I know my worth. I know my crown. And I'm going to do it in a grounding way. You're not competing with no one. You're not competing with no one. Okay. Oh, all right. You don't want to give me that job position? All right, cool. There's other ones. You don't want to date me? That's also fine. There's plenty of fish in the sea. I'm not doing the expected role within the family dynamic. All right, cool. Let me know how you want to navigate that, right? You're not fighting with no one. You're not competing with anybody. You're basically just saying it is what it is. And whatever you think about me, you're right. You're right. I'm not fighting with no one, right? And then because of that, you are in that Queen of Swords energy. Your cutoff game is insane, right? It's basically just like, okay, like here's my boundary. Oh, you're not gonna listen? All right, cool. Pleasure spending time with you. Good luck out there. That's the energy that you're in right now. And you're doing it in a way where you're unbothered. You're resting. You're saying, I got other things that I'm focusing on. You're not going to get me out of character. You're not going to get me stressed out, right? You're not going to get a reaction out of me. You're definitely not elevating my blood pressure, right? So you're basically saying, like, I'm going to go about things in a way that is at my pace. This is almost like radical rest right now. This is like anti capitalism rest right now. You're like, I'm going to get it done at my own pace before the deadline, and if you don't like that, that's okay, right? You're basically just saying, like, all right, I'm choosing me, prioritizing my healing and my rest, right? Whatever this is for, I'm not mad at it. You're in that pragmatic, intellectual headspace. I ain't mad at you, okay? Something again, I keep going back to this Queen of Swords. Just be careful where the defense mechanisms land. Okay. Make sure that if someone crosses a boundary, that you go about that in like a kind but firm way. But if a trigger happens, try your best to identify if the person is doing it intentionally or if it was an accident, right? Sometimes people don't know what is a trigger for you, right? So if you get defensive, we're not mind readers. So verbalize, hey, here's what came up for me. That's a boundary. Because also, something that tends to happen, if you're not aware of it, someone could cross a boundary you didn't even know you had, right? And it's important to verbalize that. Because again, as we're growing throughout the lifespan, we will discover new things about ourselves. So if someone crossed a boundary, but you're not sure of it or you just discovered it, right? Like you can't get mad at someone for unspoken expectations, right? So that's my air of caution for this Queen of Swords, okay? Um, but besides that, okay, this is like a little badass reading. I'm not mad at it, okay? Whatever you are, go off. I ain't mad at you. I ain't mad at you. Okay, cool. So I think that's about it. If you stayed through the whole thing, thank you so much. I appreciate you. If you just popped in to say hi and, see what was up, I'm also very grateful for you. I hope you have a amazing night or day whenever you're watching this. As always, you are divinely protected, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.